We got new TierZoo. Drake on Hot Wings would be embarrassing. Embarrassing. I feel like, honestly, bro, I feel like Drake would be chilling. Low key. I don't know. Something tells me he just drinks hot sauce for fun. And just so that when he does go on Hot Ones eventually, he's chilling. You know, maybe. I don't know. He'll probably turn red, though. Anyways, we're not talking about Drake. We're talking about Anteaters and if they're OP or not. I really don't think they're OP, bro. They're kind of hot sauce for fun. Yes, that's the last thing we're checking out today. Okay, little animation. I feel like Anteaters aren't OP, bro. Pre-B tier.
Powered factions in the game. Their go wide use social strategy is essentially unbeatable, to the point where they control wide swaths of the overworld pretty much uncontested. Even the human build, the undisputed top tier in the current meta, has trouble keeping ants at bay.
True.
Their huge variety of incredible abilities, from acidic projectiles and powerful stingers to coordinated attack strategies and terraforming abilities. I don't think it's much of a surprise that ants are such a meta-defining force.
Yep.
Yet, there's one build which can obliterate an entire colony in only a few minutes. But does having a super favorable matchup against one of the game's top tier builds actually
This reminds me of an Onion clip I gotta find.
translate into the Anteater being top tier itself? There's so much more to the Anteater build than just being able to solo an entire colony of ants with ease. So in today's video, we'll discuss all the abilities and weaknesses of the Anteater build to determine
Pre-B tier, bro.
playable
B tier at
South
best.
America server in both jungle and savanna biomes. And this is not an easy server to try to carve a niche into. I know I drone on a lot about how OP African builds are, but the Amazon rainforest is home to some of the most fearsome predators in the game.
Very true.
Including the snake build with the largest size.
Bro, I need to watch some Our Planet tonight or something, man. I love watching these nature documentaries, bro. Especially where they're shot like this right here, bro. I don't even like frogs. But the way that, like, bro's jump was so clean, bro. Like, I gotta give the respect up, man.
Amazon rainforest is home to some of the most
Like, that's hard, bro. That's hard.
including the snake build with the largest size and
Whoa, spoilers! Spoilers, man. Spoilers.
the build with the most
But I literally know that. I know that, man. It's unfortunate, but we got one song out of it to the public, and that's it. Literally, man. Black Friday was goated. Had to be there.
powerful bite, among many
All
other
good, all good.
dangerous predators. Meanwhile, the anteater's closest living relative is the sloth, a build with so many devastating flaws that I currently rate it as the mammal furthest down on
Yep.
the tier list. So how is
They're
it
whack.
that the anteater is able to survive such a hostile metagame?
Cool. Bruh, on the A Safe Place Instagram, when they posted like Cole's silhouette, they were like, guess who? I literally said the most humble rapper.
Slugs that human faith builds named one of the 7 deadly sins after. To this, Megatherium, the gigantic ground sloth that was capable of one-shotting a saber-tooth.
Wow.
Anteaters take after
One-shotting is crazy.
to this, Megatherium, the gigantic ground sloth that was capable of one-shotting a saber-tooth. And in
That's wild. That's OP.
after this type of sloth. Let's look at their stats. There
Okay.
is some variation among different anteater builds, which we'll get into later in this video. But for now, we're going to focus on the giant anteater. Pulling up the analysis, 2 things jump out right away. The first is their shockingly high HP stat. While they don't have any major form of armor, the anteater can still shake off a surprising amount of damage, even from a
Nah, bro. The man's ate that.
shockingly high HP stat. While they don't have any major
That's
form of
actually crazy.
the anteater can still
That's a
shake off
horse, man.
damage, even from attacks that
That's crazy.
normally one-shot most players. This is crucial as it allows the anteater a chance to survive ambushes by jaguars, which is pretty incredible given that jaguars frequently one-shot crocodilians. But this is also extremely important because it provides an opportunity for the anteater's other surprisingly high stat to become relevant, that stat being their attack power. That might look like
High attack and high HP? What?
especially given that anteaters don't even have teeth and are completely locked out of using the move bite. However, once you get past the head and look down, you realize that at the end of their massive gorilla arms, anteaters have pickaxe-shaped claws as big as those of a grizzly bear. Except the anteater's claws are even sharper because they walk on their knuckles to avoid wearing them down. These weapons are what allow the anteater to tear through the cement-like walls of termite mounds with ease. But they come with the nice side benefit of being able to absolutely eviscerate any player who fails to kill them in one hit. Their slashes can easily deal lethal damage, so any predator looking to ambush an anteater needs to make sure they have what it takes to finish the job before the anteater can counterattack.
That's surprising.
This threat alone is often enough to dissuade attacks in the first place. While the anteater's matchup with the jaguar is of course important, it wouldn't be fair to the anteater player base if I didn't comment on their matchup versus you social insect colonies. The anteater's 2-foot-long tongue is covered in
that's crazy, bro. That's crazy.
Flick in and out.
They make venom look like light work, bro.
Over 150 times per minute, which can take out dozens of insects per flick and decimate a colony in no time.
He posted a story last week when it was his birthday.
However,
He posted again today? Because he posted 2 days in a row last week.
brethren, anteaters opted for a slower metabolism. This comes with downsides, which we'll cover later, but it does mean that they don't need to consume an entire colony of ants, and can actually leave the colony in a damaged but recoverable state.
Wow.
This is a highly sustainable method of farming XP, because it ensures that the anteater player can simply return to the same termite mound or anthill later on, tear into it again, and the colony will have replenished its supply of workers enough that they can just do the same thing again. It also means the anteater doesn't need to be at any one
Free Palestine.
very long, which is good.
Free Palestine, bro.
Despite how powerful their offensive tools are at destroying a colony of insects, anteaters don't actually have any unique defensive abilities to avoid the damage from the swarm of militant insects they've just provoked, and have to rely solely on their HP to soak up.
Interesting. They got it though.
As mentioned prior, because of their high HP stat, anteaters are
I can't wait to hear their drawbacks because they sound OP so far.
equipped to tank a lot of hits. But the acid attacks launched by termites and ants certainly aren't something they can just ignore for extended duration. The rest of the anteater stats are fairly lackluster. Anteaters aren't as sluggish as sloths, but because of their slow metabolism, they do have a below average movement speed.
Okay.
Given that they've spec'd into massive claws on their forelimbs rather than more mobility favoring options like paws or hooves, I don't think this low speed is too surprising.
Yeah.
It's a worthy trade-off.
True. It is.
Stealth stats
It's fair.
also middle of the road. They don't stick out as bad as some builds, but aren't the best camouflaged either. The
True.
anteater can hide under its bushy tail, disguising itself as a bush while also shielding itself from the cold. But as far as plant-style disguises,
Interesting.
there are certainly more impressive displays out there. The anteater's intelligence isn't great either. They'd form quite a formidable force in groups, yet rarely engage in team strategies, if ever. Their
Yikes.
main weakness is their poor eyesight. It's a good thing they don't go down in one hit, because the tiny eyes on the sides of their heads do not give them the best odds at detecting an ambush before the attacker is within sight.
Okay.
Next, let's
There it
delve into
is.
some of the individual variants of the anteater. The giant anteater is by far the most powerful, at the cost of its mobility. The giant anteater is the only variant that lacks the ability to climb trees.
Wow.
Their claws being phenomenal for hooking into trees, giant anteaters simply are too cumbersome to venture.
I was about to say, they're too big, bro.
Two other variants of the anteater build, and both variants are much better at climbing. First is the Tamandua. This sized anteater sports
This is what I think of whenever I think of an anteater.
lower
I think of this one first.
hit point stat than the giant anteater, but in exchange it has unlocked a powerful new ability, a prehensile tail. This perk allows the user to use its tail essentially as a fifth appendage, granting additional resistance to being knocked down while browsing high up in the treetops. Because of its lower HP stat, this build can't tank acid damage as well as the giant anteater, so it needs to avoid high-tier ant builds like the leafcutter ant. The final variant is the pygmy anteater, a nocturnal build that invests more into its stealth than other stats, drastically cutting its bulk and damage in turn. In my opinion, the pygmy anteater is a bit too similar to the sloth build.
It looks like it.
Competitively viable, but to each their own. Although the ability to climb does come in handy for escaping predators, the giant anteater doesn't.
That's one thing I said in my reaction. Like, I don't really have too many weird ones. I gotta find some, but most of the custom Spotify playlists I see are like just genre based.
To miss it much, while the other variants need to worry about attacks from.
I have over 150 of them saved though. I'm gonna try and like collect them all like Pokemon, and then really find some weird ones.
The giant anteater's bulk is enough to protect it from most threats. Its matchup versus the Jaguar is still pretty risky, but it's better than most. So I'm going to give the giant anteater a rating of A tier, while the
What? Oh, bro.
gets a rank of B tier.
Okay, at least one of them got B tier. I was kind of right.
Pygmy anteater.
And matter of fact, this is the one that I said I think of whenever I think of an anteater. So technically, I was right, bro. W prediction.
A D tier rank.
Fair.
One of the most effective ways
That's
to lock
fair.
in a high placement on the tier list is to have high base stats. And while most stats require millions of years of evolution to change, intelligence is one of the few stats which can be leveled up.
W ad, man. Love to see it, bro. Can't lie. W vid. I knew they wouldn't be OP, but they are higher than I expected. But I didn't know too much about the giant anteater. I've seen them before, but you know, I don't know. Pretty cool though. Love to see it, man.